Hello from lockdown in sunny Oxford. My name is Antonia Lloyd-Jones. I'm a translator of Polish literature, and I've been asked to tell you about 5 aspects of Polish culture that have been helping me through quarantine. The first one is Polish poetry. I've lately curated a selection of contemporary Polish poems for the Stephen Spender Trust's Polish Spotlight competition for translators aged up to 18. And in the course of my research, I was reminded of the most perfect lockdown poem imaginable. It's called Try to Praise the Mutilated World, and it's by Adam Zagajewski. And in Claire Kavanagh's beautiful translation, it starts like this. Try to praise the mutilated world. Remember June's long days, and wild strawberries, drops of rosé wine. And it ends, praise the mutilated world, and the grey feather a thrush lost, and the gentle light that strays and vanishes and returns. So here's hoping we'll soon be enjoying June's long days and that the gentle light will have returned. You can find the whole poem by googling Adam Zagajewski, Mutilated World. Secondly, Polish fiction. Right now I'm translating some short stories by another prophetic author whose work fits the times perfectly, the sci-fi writer Stanisław Lem. One of them is called Darkness and Mildew, and it's about a scientist who loses control of the weapon of mass destruction he's busy developing. Here's how another scientist describes it. It's some sort of atomic bacteria, a microorganism that destroys matter and gains vital energy from the process. He started with existing bacteria and gradually subjected them to the effect of increasing doses of radiation. It exists in 2 states, as a spore, as harmless as flour. You could sprinkle the streets with it. But if it were animated and started to multiply, that would be the end. It would consume everything, stone walls, people, steel, and it couldn't be stopped. Sounds familiar. If you want to read the whole story, it's called Darkness and Mildew, and you'll find it in an anthology published by Comma Press entitled Le Mystery. Translating Lem took me to my third comforting feature of Polish culture, which is Polish satire. While I was searching for screen adaptations of his work, I came upon a short film called The Cruise, made in the 1960s by Marek Nowitzki. Like Lem, Nowitzki was having to work around the censorship that was in force in communist Poland, and he did it through absurd comedy. The Cruise is the story of a man who blags his way onto a pleasure boat, but accidentally ends up having to organise ideologically suitable entertainment for the passengers. His efforts soon descend into chaos as various alpha males start squabbling like schoolboys. So if you'd like a good laugh, you can find The Cruise on Netflix. Fourthly, Polish reportage has been reminding me that however depressing the COVID-19 situation, things can be worse. Last week, my translation of How to Feed a Dictator by Witold Szabłowski was published. It's about 5 unpredictable monsters: Saddam Hussein, Idi Amin, Enver Hoxha, Fidel Castro and Pol Pot, as seen by their long-term cooks. And it includes some hair-raising stories about the times when the cooks came close to being accused of attempting to poison their bosses. For instance, one time I made a very sweet pilaf with raisins. Moses Amin, Idi Amin's 13-year-old son, who had inherited his father's appetite, wolfed down so much of it that he almost exploded. He started having a terrible stomachache. Amin decided his son had been poisoned. He went running about the palace screaming, "If something happens to him, I'll kill you all." I took the child, sneaked him out the back door and drove him to Mulago Hospital. Everyone was convinced I really had poisoned Moses Amin and then run away, and they were all going to die because of me. Meanwhile, the doctor kept pressing the boy's belly until finally he let out a tremendous fart. "I feel much better," he said. The doctor reported to Amin that there was nothing wrong with his son. He'd simply eaten too much. For weeks afterward, Amin thought it an excellent joke. Every time he saw me, he'd start to laugh and merrily clap me on the shoulder, exclaiming, "A fart, a fart." I did not find it quite so amusing. If I hadn't kept my cool and taken Moses to the hospital, I could have lost my life. You can find How to Feed a Dictator on the Penguin Random House website. And finally, I've gained a lot of inspiration from the indomitable spirit so typical of Poles, whose tough history has made them very good at dealing with adversity. I've noticed how my friends haven't failed to appreciate the things that matter most in life. They've taken care of the past by commemorating the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. They've taken care of the present by exchanging charming Easter greetings just as usual. And also the future by bravely going out into the streets to protest against the introduction of laws that they don't support. So thank you very much for listening. Good luck with the rest of lockdown as we look forward to meeting again for wild strawberries and rosé wine in June.